I'm Anne Riddell, and welcome to Arts in the City. First up, what started as a hit TV show in the 60s has become a mega blockbuster film series. Andrew Falzone heads to the Museum of the Moving Image to check out an exhibit dedicated to Mission Impossible and the franchise's cinematic spectacle.
You don't have to be obsessed with Mission Impossible to recognize this iconic scene from modern cinema. Tom Cruise suspended from a ceiling breaking into CIA headquarters. But if you are obsessed, then the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria has an exhibit that you can't miss.
So we really tried to create an environment in the exhibition that evoked the feeling of seeing the films. We want the visitors to the exhibition to sort of feel what the Mission Impossible world is all about.
The exhibit contains a treasure trove of over 80 props and costumes from every film in the franchise. Whether it's weapons or wearables, ID badges or disguises, even complete costumes are on display in the exhibit. And it's mostly thanks to the museum's partnership with film producer Paramount Pictures.
I think we enjoyed a fantastic partnership with Paramount. They were obviously very excited to celebrate this series, and we were, excited to celebrate this series and really focus, from our perspective, on the extraordinary stunt work.
As the exhibit title implies, in Mission Impossible Story and Spectacle, it becomes apparent that the stunt work is the real star of the exhibit. A wide range of memorable acrobatics are on display across 40 large screens, each station containing a Mission Impossible-style briefing on a glowing tabletop, making you feel like you're actually immersed in the scene. With the authentic, movie-worn corresponding costume dangling overhead and another tablet-sized set of screens showing the scene's storyboards, it feels like the mission is your own.
I think that with each successive film, the stunts became more elaborate and more highly choreographed. And in speaking with the filmmakers, it was clear that the advances in cinematography is what really allowed that to happen. Lighter cameras, more flexible rigs that they could use, drone technology to capture the overhead views. All of those things were essential in being able to sort of achieve the big screen thrills.
Included in the exhibit are 2 exclusive interviews that Barbara conducted with the film's star and producer Tom Cruise, whom many viewers might not realize was the driving force behind the whole franchise.
So the nucleus of this exhibition is really about practical stunt work. People putting their bodies in sort of amazing places to capture thrills for the big screen. What we've really tried to convey, and what's very clear, is that it is Tom Cruise at the center of that. Not just as a star and not just as a producer, because he's been a producer for all of these films, but as the lead stunt performer, right? He is with the director and his team devising all of these stunts, choreographing them, coming up with exactly sort of what he wanted to do and how it would be done. So I think celebrating his role, his unique role as a stunt performer, because most actors have stunt doubles, they're not as actively involved in this type of performance, I think that's really extraordinary.
Before Tom Cruise took over the franchise, Mission Impossible began as a CBS television series that ran for 7 seasons starting in 1966. Led by Jim Phelps and his Impossible Missions Force, the show introduced audiences to the iconic theme song, self-destructing tapes.
As always, should you or any of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Jim.
And a team approach to espionage. It won multiple Emmys and set the stage for the blockbuster films that followed decades later.
Feels magical, but it's really work, right? So what is that work? How is it achieved? And we think it really engages audiences further in the filmmaking experience, the film-going experience.
Mission Impossible Story and Spectacle will be on view until December 14th. After that, this exhibit is set to self-destruct. Taking unforgettable photos requires an incredible amount of artistry and skill.
Donna Hanover caught up with a legendary photographer and journalist whose travels have taken him across all 7 continents.
Some of the most daring, thrilling, breathtaking photos of the last 4 decades have come from the camera of Peter Guttman, whose images have transported people to all 7 continents and 250 countries. He's braved molten lava, chased violent tornadoes, hung off cranes over Antarctica's icy seas, climbed above presidential noses, and waded deep into cranberry bogs to get his shots.
Long before selfie sticks and drones, I was always fascinated by the unique angles and perspectives that at that point had not been well documented. And so I would use my tripod with its legs fully extended, almost like a fishing rod, and lean way off outside of windows, off of moving trains. I would attach my camera to the wings of float planes in the Allagash in Maine, or to the masts of land yachts in the Mojave Desert. I was always interested in trying to capture a feeling that you wonder how in the world that image was taken.
As a child, Peter didn't plan to be a photographer. About the time his dad got multiple sclerosis, Peter decided to be a doctor, and in 7th grade was such a prodigy that he even worked on artificial heart research at the Cleveland Clinic. But then he decided to explore the world and bring his dad pictures. In one, Peter shot the last solar eclipse of the 20th century at a wintry farm with a snowman he'd built himself.
Well, that photograph is what landed me my very first meeting with National Geographic.
His photos are on the covers of Fodor's travel guides and in lots of magazines and newspapers. He created the iPad's first #1 best-selling travel app called Beautiful Planet HD, which was on the iPad when it was released in 2010. Peter's first book was called Nights to Imagine, Magical Places to Stay in America, showing exotic locales where he and his wife, Lori Green, have spent the night.
For our anniversaries with my wife, Lori, we would stay in really wacky lodgings of all sorts, whether it be giant shoes or big dogs or fire lookout towers or caves, cabooses, underwater hotels that you had to scuba dive to get to your bedroom.
When I first met Peter, I just knew he was a genius. And I knew that my life was going to be a very different life than what most people live. I knew we were going to be traveling around the world. I love to travel.
Lori is a reporter, professor, and TV producer, and she has often been Peter's muse. Their apartment in Manhattan is the site of the best slideshow ever, an annual event they have to run several nights to get everyone in. Here I am at the show with my daughter. People love the stories Peter tells with the photos.
Here we head over to South Georgia Island to see the king penguin, but actually I saw more penguins than that.
People also love the artifacts from their travels.
If you look at the top of the room, you'll see caps and hats from places like Uzbekistan and Tibet and Peru. And here there's a maritime collection with models of vessels from places like Newfoundland and the South Pacific. And if you pull on certain strings, a high-wire bicycling bear from Vermont will come pedaling across the ceiling, surveying the 2,400 objects in the room.
From an early age, Peter and Lori's son, Chase, learned to travel and to use a camera.
My dad has the coolest job in the world. That's him in the middle. He puts Indiana Jones to shame.
Were you very vigilant about safety when you took him?
Yes, we were vigilant, but we did adventures with him. He grew up in a very adventurous lifestyle and in a very adventurous home.
I'm not afraid of speed, I'm not afraid of height, I'm not afraid of eating disgusting stuff.
And now Chase has become an award-winning photographer himself.
He actually has won an Emmy for aerial videography. He's been summoned all around the world right now, either to teach photography or to provide drone content. And his talents are just off the charts.
One of Peter's proud moments was taking his camera higher than anyone on the globe, above the North Pole, by climbing his ship's radar mast.
And was able to witness celebrants dancing around all 24 time zones of the world as they skipped over the international date line into tomorrow and back into today.
Though Peter often ventures far from home, he went with us to New York's Riverside Park so we could watch him at work.
I find these rocks really interesting. The Manhattan schist, which enabled the building of skyscrapers on this island. And you can see still the glaciated grooves that have been carved by glaciers hundreds of thousands of years ago.
So you've seen this visually. What do you do with the camera to make sure you get it?
Well, I'm using my wide-angle lens in this instance to accentuate the lines of striation in the rock. And I'm using the meadow in the background as like a counterpoint.
Peter has taken awesome pictures of animals like stampeding horses, pink dolphins, mountain gorillas, proboscis monkeys, grizzly bears, sharks, baby penguins, and many other creatures. He's gone deep into jungles to take pictures of indigenous people and their traditions. His most recent award-winning book is American Character: Surprising Portraits of an Unseen Nation.
Storytelling plays a very important role in sort of what motivates me, and to be able to kind of spark in people's eyes a sense of wonder and astonishment, that's very, very gratifying.
I'm Donna Hanover for Arts in the City.
DOC NYC is the largest documentary film festival in the country. Now in its 16th season, Neil Rosen sat down with the festival's directors.
If you love documentaries, there's no better place to be than New York in November, because DOC NYC is back. Now in its 16th year, it's America's largest and most influential documentary film festival. With submissions from over 90 countries, this premier showcase has become a launching pad for future Oscar contenders, having premiered 13 out of the last 14 Academy Award-winning documentaries, with more than 200 films, plus plenty of world premieres and exciting events. Rafaela Nehausen is the co-founder and executive director of DOC NYC, and Jay LaPlante is the festival's artistic director. What is the mission of the DOC NYC Film Festival?
The mission of DOC NYC is to celebrate great nonfiction storytelling in all its forms. So we have feature films, we have short films, we have some series, but truly being in New York City and being able to host a festival like this, greatest audiences, filmmakers all want to come here, so we're also celebrating New York in a sense.
How many people cumulatively have attended this film festival since it began, and how many attendees do you expect to have this year?
So every year I'd say we have 20 to 30,000, so cumulatively over heaven's 16 years, I mean that's hundreds of thousands of people, which is crazy to say. I mean, one thing I'll say that's really fun is we do have different sections in the festival, so we have sections for everybody. So there's a section, for example, called Investigations, which is more journalistic films. There's a section called Metropolis, one of our long-standing, since 2010, competition sections.
So the Metropolis section is a competitive section in the festival that is about New York stories or great New York characters made most of the time by New York filmmakers themselves.
But it's more than just watching films. Audiences get to dive deeper through Q&As that follow screenings, often with the filmmakers themselves, and an impressive roster of special guests. In past years, those guests have included such notables as Hillary Clinton, Eric Clapton, Emma Watson, Jim Carrey, Martin Scorsese, Questlove, Errol Morris, and Oliver Stone, just to name a few.
We've had great movies through the years with great subjects and filmmakers, and famous or not famous, people love connecting with audiences. And New York audiences are the best audiences. So even that whole list of people you named, they're just like any other filmmaker on stage, delighted that people came up and cared about a story and happy to engage in a Q&A and answer questions. Yes, New York is a completely star power city. You can't walk a block without running into someone famous, but at the festival, all those people are basically the same as any other filmmaker. They just show up, connect with audiences, and we have a lot of memorable nights.
Films this year we have Amy Goodman, Oscar Isaac, Bruce Springsteen, and Connie Chung, Sandra Oh, really a great, this is a lot of interesting people, interesting lives will be shared at this year's festival.
From the personal to the political, from music and art to true crime and history, DOC NYC brings together the very best in nonfiction storytelling. Among this year's highlights, from Ukraine, 2,000 meters to Andrikva, which follows a Ukrainian platoon on their mission to traverse 1 mile of heavily fortified forest and liberate a strategic village from Russian occupation.
Counteroffensive, expected to be the biggest military operation in Europe since World War II.
King Hamlet, an intimate look at actor Oscar Isaac's preparation as he takes on the iconic role of Shakespeare's Danish prince.
Murder and Revenge are not the play we're here to do. This is about grief.
The Perfect Neighbor, which utilizes police body cam footage and investigative interviews to expose how a seemingly minor neighborhood dispute in Florida escalates into deadly violence.
Come outside with your hands up!
Barely ever seen it.
From China, the dating game. In a country where men greatly outnumber women, 3 bachelors try a 7-day dating boot camp for their last chance at love. Bull's Heart, a joint venture from Greece and the U.S., about artist and choreographer Dimitris Papananu and his creation of the performance transverse orientation.
Let's have the music and the action. Go.
And that's just a few of the many interesting documentaries you'll find at this year's festival.
We also have an incredible 8-day professional conference where we have panels all day long exploring both the craft and the business of documentary storytelling.
The DOC NYC Film Festival runs from November 12th through November 30th. For more information about tickets, showtimes, and a list of films, you can go to their website at docnyc.net. At the IFC Film Center, where most of the films at the festival are shown, on 3rd Street and 6th Avenue, for Arts in the City, I'm Neil Rosen.
The soaring sound of an organ is easily recognizable, but the making of that music is far more complex. Next up, an insider's look at organ playing and efforts to increase the ranks of women in the field. Our next stop, St. Paul's Chapel on the Upper West Side. Organist Gail Archer recently released her 11th album, but her love affair with this instrument started much earlier.
I started singing in the church choir when I was 8 years old, and I started taking piano lessons at the same time. My family were church goers, and so I saw the organ, and I was fascinated from the beginning, but I was small, so my legs wouldn't reach the pedals. And by the time I was 13, my legs were long enough, and I went over to the organ and started taking lessons with the local organist, and the rest is history. Here I am.
Gail is a professor at Barnard College and director of the Barnard Columbia Chorus. She's also an international organist known for bold interpretations, with a particular interest in Eastern European composers.
I'm always curious and searching for music that others may not know.
Another aspect of the organ many people may not know, how deeply complex it is as an instrument. For example, the stops, which control groups of pipes, creating what feels like an almost limitless range of sound.
There's middle C. That's an 8-foot stop. It's this general sound of the organ. But I could pull the 4-foot stop, here's the same note, an octave higher. Here's a 2-foot stop, same note, 2 octaves higher.
Then there is the sheer physicality of playing and the delicate must-have shoes.
They have glove leather on the bottom. You cannot possibly wear these on the street because you'll go right through them. But you're wearing them because it helps you to heel toe on the pedals. I work out, you have to. You have to be very fit to play the organ because some of the instruments have 4 or 5 keyboards, and you have to be able to sit up and reach all of those areas and pedal at the same time. I have nice big feet, which are great.
As dedicated as she is to her craft, Gail is also passionate about advocating for women. She founded an organization called Muse Forum, a network for women organists.
It is not easy to be a woman organist. This is a field that's been dominated by gentlemen for centuries. Part of that has to do with the use of the organ in worship services and the fact that the clergy for centuries, whether they're Protestants or Catholics or of the Jewish faith or any other, the clergy are male.
Leveling the playing field for women is an issue that the American Guild of Organists is actively working on as well.
Looking at historically and even present day who performs where they perform, what they perform, women are continually underrepresented.
Michelle Cardos is the Director of Education for the American Guild of Organists. One of their efforts is a competition for women composers, part of a larger goal to create opportunity and inspire the next generation.
We see even less young females join than our male counterparts at younger levels, and a lot of it is because they're not really being encouraged. I'd like to just see really equal representation. I'd like to see people think about what they program, what they play, who they invite to play, how they talk about things.
Despite any and all hurdles, for Gail, this musical journey seems worth every step.
It's so fulfilling, spiritually and intellectually. I have the power to lift people up. You touch people in ways that are beyond words. So that seems a very worthy mission and a worthy way to spend one's life.
As the weather cools, our city's theater scene heats up. Patrick Pacheco, host of CUNY TV's Theater, All the Moving Parts, sat down with theater critics and journalists to review some of the best off-Broadway shows coming out this fall.
The new season of theater is upon us, and to help us wade through it all, our experts, Ruthie Fairberg, executive editor of Broadway News, Adam Feldman, chief theater critic of Time Out New York, and Jan Simpson, theater journalist and host of Broadway Radio's All the Drama. Off-Broadway has a lot of offerings and a lot of starry offerings.
Thick packet.
a very thick packet. I would like to ask you about your choices in this very thick folder.
Sure. So the two that jump out to me are Meet the Cartosians over at Second Stage, another David Cromer vehicle. I'm on the David Cromer train as well. I'm on a bunch of trains.
I'm on that one
And David Cromer is just expert. And it's a new playwright, Celine Monahan, and
she's done some other stuff.
Yes, newer to, I would say, like a bigger stage, like Second Stage. About two generations of Armenian Americans, 1920s, present day.
In relation to the Kardashians?
Yes.
Surprise. And the cast includes...
Any similarities are purely coincidental.
And the cast includes Will Brill, who of course won the Tony for Stereophonic, Andrea Martin, who has played so many different ethnicities in the arena, in the geographic proximity of Armenia, but is actually Armenian. So that's exciting, as well as Nael Nasser, who was in Prayer for the French Republic, which, based on the synopsis, it sounds like it has some relation to that, you know, the idea of a family and two generations and et cetera. The other one for me is Kyoto, which is coming to Lincoln Center Theater, from the same writers as The Jungle, directed by Justin Martin and Stephen Daldry, about the Kyoto Climate Conference in 1997. And so that is giving me Oslo vibes of like this moment in time of, you know, which way will it go, that, you know, no matter which way it goes, it shapes the future. And I think the team that's bringing us that is going to be pretty brilliant.
Adam.
So hard to choose. Honestly, there are like 40 off-Broadway shows,
go ahead.
super strong. I don't know. I'll throw it in the air, and it'll come down on Oh Happy Day. I'm really excited about it. It's at the Public Theater. It is by Jordan E. Cooper, who at the Public did a show called Ain't No Mo a few years ago that was transferred too briefly to Broadway. I think that he's a brilliant talent. And in this one, he's going to be taking on a modern version of the Noah's Ark myth. That sounds very promising to me. There's also music in it by a gospel star named Donald Lawrence, and it'll be performed by these three of the best voices on Broadway. That will be in itself appealing to me. There's a play called Nothing Can Take You From the Hand of God that is playing at Playwrights. It is a solo show with this woman named Jen Tulloch. She is on Severance. She plays the sister on Severance. And from the moment I saw her on Severance, I'm not really familiar with her work, but I saw her on Severance and I said, I want to see more of this person. I'm fascinated with this person. And so now she's doing a solo show based on her own life. It is about someone growing up in the South.
Jan?
I'm going to go with Archduke, which is by Rajiv Joseph, another playwright that I really love. And this is a play about the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, which helped to start World War I. Rajiv is casting the revolutionaries who assassinated the Archduke as kind of like a bunch of hapless, trying to figure out who they are teens. Some overtures to today, unfortunate overtures to today. So that'll be very interesting. And I guess the other one is Martina Mayok's play Queens. And it's about a group of immigrant women who are undocumented immigrants who live together and try to support one another as they try to make it here and make a better life for their children who are in all different parts of the world. Another play that is really speaking to our contemporary
Absolutely.
times.
Thank you very much for joining us in Speed Dating. We speeded through a lot, but you were so articulate about all the stuff that we covered, so I thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, at the theater.
And look forward to seeing a lot of these shows.
There's a lot of them. To hear more from our conversation, make sure to watch the full episode of Theater All the Moving Parts, airing Fridays at 8:30 p.m., also on YouTube.
That is our show for today. Thanks so much for joining us. A quick reminder to check us out on our CUNY TV app and on social media. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Anne Riddell. See you next time on Arts in the City.